Welcome to the Embrace Strength podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Crocker. I am an experienced trainer and active life professional. I work with people who are struggling with nagging pain to get back to the activities they love without fear of re-injury. This podcast is here to educate and provide value to you on all things health, fitness, staying active, and personal development. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to this Feisty Friday episode where I am going to chat about common programming mistakes you are making. All right, so today's episode is for the coaches out there. If you have people that you program for, or maybe you even program for yourself, today's episode is for you. So the first one I'm going to chat through is assessments. Either you are not doing them at all, or you don't know how to use the data you gather in your assessments. Okay, so for example, I am talking about the assessments where you are looking at somebody's flexibility and mobility and overall strength before you even have them do movement. All right. Now, if you don't look at their flexibility and mobility, you shouldn't feel bad, because I didn't start doing this until I went through ALP because I didn't know any better. Like, I came from the CrossFit certification space and like the group fitness space. And what did they teach you? Teach somebody how to do an air squat, an overhead squat with a PVC pipe, and, some other basic movements, right? But it wasn't like, look at their shoulder flexion, look at their hip flexion, look at their ankle mobility, it wasn't things like that. And I just, as soon as I learned how to do like a proper flexibility and mobility assessment, I was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I learn this when I first started training people? I would have been able to help train clients so much better if I knew this. So if you are not somebody who currently does that, you need to start, because that can be a game changer. Okay. So there's that. And then if you are somebody who does do assessments, maybe you do have a flexibility and mobility assessment maybe you do have strength testing that you do, but once you have all that data, do you know how to apply it to your clients' programming in a way that makes sense and supports their goals? Because what I see a lot of times happen is, okay, great, we have all this data and testing, but then you're like, oh my gosh, how do I apply it? And and honestly, it's more simple than you think. You just have to remember, okay, what is my client's goal? What are their aches and pains they're dealing with, if they have any, right? They may not. And then how many times are they training every week, right? Because that impacts things too. Because if you have somebody who's only training 2 or 3 times a week, that's going to look different than if your client is training 4 or 5 times a week. Okay. How you split up their program is going to matter, and what comes up in the assessment, how you're spreading that across the week, matters, right? So for example, if I have somebody in shoulder pain and they can only work out 2 times a week and their main priority is to get out of shoulder pain, I'm probably going to give them 2 days of upper body, because that is our lowest hanging fruit to tackle. Okay. But if I have somebody who doesn't necessarily have any specific aches or pains, that want to get stronger, and they can only train 2 times a week, we're doing full body. Okay. That one is neither right nor wrong necessarily, but see how it just depends on the client. And so you can't always say A plus B equals C when it comes to programming, because it should be client specific. And also on the assessments note, I want to talk really quickly about the importance of doing single leg testing, or single leg, single arm testing in your strength assessments. If you are somebody who's yeah, I am doing strength assessments, but you're only seeing their their back squat, their deadlift. You're not seeing any unilateral work. You are missing a huge piece of the puzzle here, okay? The reason why it's so important to get that unilateral data is because if somebody has a strength imbalance side to side, you can easily hide that doing a bilateral movement. So like somebody might be able to do a regular traditional back squat fine, but you put them on a single leg step up and only using one leg at a time, you might find out like, whoa, you can barely do any step ups on your left side. Like, no wonder your back is hurting. Okay. And if you would have never tested the single leg strength, you would not know. And then you're going to be wondering like, why is their back hurting? Okay. Same goes for hinging, right? I love to look at a single leg hinge. It doesn't necessarily have to be single leg deadlift, but how about like a single leg B stance RDL and seeing like what are their hips doing when they do this hinge pattern, okay? A lot of times there might be something going on there. Like, are they feeling the hinge pattern in the right places on both sides? Because sometimes you can put somebody in a unilateral hinge and they're like, I don't feel it in my backside of my leg at all on my right side. I feel it in my quad there, but I feel it in my glute and hamstrings on the other side. That's literally happened before. So that also gives you some major pieces to the puzzle as to how you should go about their programming. I am a big fan of doing more testing in the beginning and not being afraid to spend time testing, because that gives you information that can make their programming so much better, so much more effective. They'll get better results, and ultimately that's what they came to you for, right? So if you are a coach out there who is not doing that much in depth, you are missing out on a lot. So the next mistake you could be making is programming too much for your client or not enough. I saw this in my Done With You program for coaches where we do specific testing, and then I give guidance on how to structure a program. The coach goes in programs 1 week and then I give feedback. I saw both ends of the spectrum here. In one program, there was way too much stretching, not enough strength training. And then in the other program, there was like way too much volume, like literally double the amount of volume that she needed to make progress. And so there should be a reason why you're putting in what you're putting in your client's program. If I ask you, what is the purpose of this? And you're like, I don't know, I just needed some extra stuff. Or like, I'm not really sure. That's an issue. Okay. So like, I always come at it from like, the goal is to get our clients to make progress in the minimum effective dose, right? We should not be just throwing in exercises for shits and giggles, okay? And the next mistake you might be making is not getting feedback from a mentor on what you're actually doing with your clients. I will be the first to tell you that just going through your certification program does not mean you are like totally ready to give clients the best service in the world and you are excellent at what you do already, okay? That takes time and feedback from a mentor, okay? How do you know you're programming in an effective way if you've never gotten feedback from somebody on it? I mean someone other than your clients. Your clients do not know the difference between something shitty and something effective, okay? Remember, you are the professional and it is your job to make sure your product and your coaching is top notch if that is what you're selling them. I'm a big fan of selling top notch coaching and like valuing what you do and charging what you're worth, with the caveat that you have to make sure that what you're actually giving them is actually worth like double what you're charging, right? So that puts it on you that it's like your coaching should be amazing if you are charging top dollar, okay? How do you know if it's amazing if you've never gotten feedback on it from someone other than your client? So that's a little nugget for you. And then I have one more. You are making it too complicated. You're the person who's trying to change things up all the time for your client to keep it fresh, and you don't want them to get bored. But you need to remember, again, you are the professional, and I'm sure that you know that simple equals effective. We do not have to reinvent the wheel with how to make somebody stronger, okay? Simple is better. If you are someone who is trying to change exercises every couple of weeks, that's a problem. We need to keep the same exercises and progress in reps, weight, or range of motion or something. Like, you should not be changing things up all the time. So, if you resonated with any of these things I chatted about, you need to be in my free experience for coaches next week, all about programming. It is called Simplify Your Programming, where I am helping you simplify your programming process from assessments to actually programming to like progressions, regressions. I'm also going to chat through some ways or like some things to look at with common aches or pains, okay? Where to look with things like back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, all right? It is totally free. It is going to be 3 days long. I am teaching this in the app called Telegram, which basically means I'm going in there every day for 3 days and I'm giving mini trainings, okay? And you can listen to these on your own time. You don't have to be on Zoom at a certain time or whatever. You can literally listen when you're driving, when you're doing whatever, okay? I'm super excited about this, and I think it's going to be super valuable. So seriously, if you are a coach who programs for clients or yourself, you need to be in here. And an exciting upgrade that I'm offering to anyone signed up for this class is a programming audit, where I will look at 1 week of programming from you, and I will give you feedback on it. This is huge. It's only $33 to do this, and it's literally a no-brainer to get some feedback on what you're actually doing with your clients. How that's going to work: if you sign up for this, you will fill out a short questionnaire about the person that you're sending me the programming for. So I have some background on where your head is at and things like that. You send it over to me. I'm going to review it and give you feedback. It's probably going to be Loom feedback, where I'm like chatting through that kind of thing. So if you want to get signed up for that, send me a message on Instagram, AshleyCrocker127, or you can send me an email, ashley@embracestrength.co. And I will see you inside. We start Monday, and you should be there. I'll talk to you soon.